Welcome everyone to Clue 3 vlog. We're going to go ahead and kick this off with finally looking at the pattern. So per usual, I did already put a warning at the beginning of the video, but if you don't want to be spoiled by Clue 3, then click away, but make sure you come back to see the rest of the vlog if you're ready. So I've been really excited to see what the new Clue looks like, and I just wanted to go ahead and get right on in it. Okay, so we now have the third spoiler alert downloaded. Okay, so this is the diagram that came up just so that you can see the layout of how the shawl is going to look. Looks like it is going to be a lot of color blocks. I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. Seems a little bit blah to me. I'm very particular when it comes to knitting patterns. I liked the way it was going in the beginning, but I don't know. I kind of feel like this is all that seems like it's just garter stitch. Now the checkered section looks cool, but I'm not quite sure how I feel about the large block areas. I don't know if it really matches with the theme of the first half. I do want to obviously get started and see how it turns out. Maybe I'll like it when I'm done. It's going to look similar to this one, but just a different color assignment than what this person did, because this person used the exact same yarn I did, the exact same colors, but they assigned their colors a little different than mine. Yeah, that's kind of my honest thoughts about that. We're going to get started and give it a shot. You know, obviously I have no choice but to move forward, and we'll see how it turns out when I'm done. I don't know how long this is going to take. Maybe it's a quick clue. I hope that clue 4 will be redeemable. I did notice that last night when I was finishing up clue 2, they instructed to put waste yarn or a spare needle on the top of the squiggles. So I put a barber cord at the top also so that I could see the shawl at its finest laid out. It was all jumbled up on a needle, so I wanted to see it all kind of in its natural form with the waviness so I could take pictures. So I'm wondering if after we get done with like this being a triangular per the clue 3, we'll go back to the top and add something. That's what I'm thinking he's going to do for clue 4, but we'll see in another week what clue 4 looks like. But for now, this is clue 3. Maybe it'll grow on me while I'm knitting. I don't mind garter stitch because it is knitting front and back, at least there's no purling, but it can also get kind of boring just garter stitch knitting the whole time. Maybe in this case, because there's so much color changing, maybe it'll make it interesting, but I also am not quite sure how I feel about changing the color back to back. Like, that's almost just as annoying as short rows flipping the project back and forth, like the triangular scallop section of clue 3 last year for the MKAL. I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying not to make too much of an opinion about it until I get done. I do see on the bottom of the shawl, like after the small little checkers, that this person has their needle or a barber cord or something still attached. So I wonder if he's also going to add something to that section as well. Because see, clue 4 last year, he split up clue 4 into 2 parts. You had the mosaic section at the very top, and then you had the optional wavy border at the bottom. I wonder if he's going to do the same thing, where he's going to have part of that clue on one side where the live stitches are on the squiggles, and then another part that might be optional on the checkered side, or maybe both are not optional, but they're required. Who knows? All right, I'm going to go ahead and start working on this, and we'll see how long it takes me. The clue 2 took me until last night, which was Wednesday, October 15th. So I did get it done in 4 days at least. So maybe this one might take me just as much time, maybe less as well. All right, guys, so I'm going to check in with you guys in a couple hours when I've made some progress. So guys, it is still Thursday, October 16th at 5:15 in the afternoon, and I have only gotten this far with Clue 3. I'm hoping it'll go by quicker as I get used to what the pattern is telling you to do, but I had to redo the brown section, modular stripe, whatever he calls it, because I came up one garter ridge short. And I figured out the issue as soon as I redid it, but it was quite frustrating. Yeah, this is pretty much giving Clue 3 vibes from last year with the scallop edging. Not too fond of the flipping back and forth. I literally knit 12 and I have to flip, then I have to flip, then I have to flip. I'm not really that crazy about doing that. It just, I don't know. I like to kind of knit in one consecutive line for a good minute and then flip. There's just that right balance of like knitting for a long time on one row and then flipping to the next row. Sometimes it can feel like forever if I'm knitting on one row, but then something like this where it's really short, it's also aggravating. But yeah, I am just going along with the pattern and we're just going to see how this goes. I did see a full length picture where someone who was asked to test knit this prior to MKAL starting, where they basically get the pattern before everybody else and they test knit it. I got to see the full length of the shawl and it looked pretty cool. It definitely does give a musical vibe to it somehow. So I'm not mad at it. I just gotta get through half of this clue. I think the other half where it has the little tiny squares at the top, which kind of remind me of notes on a music sheet. I think that part will be fun. I don't think that's going to be too terrible and flipping back and forth a lot. But maybe when I get, towards the middle of the section, it won't be so much flipping back and forth. I don't know. Right now it's on the edge, so I think that's why I'm doing it so much, but we'll see. Anyways, that was just my little quick update. Unrelated, but just because I wanted to add. I made Crunchwrap Supremes like you get at Taco Bell. And I realized when I was at Kroger the other day and in the aisle with all the taco ingredients that Taco Bell, they're selling Crunchwrap Supreme kits. And at first I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. But then I'm looking at the box and you're paying $8 just for the hard taco sheet that goes in the middle of the Crunchwrap and the tortilla, maybe the seasoning. I can just spend less to just go buy the regular shell, flat tortillas that are hard that go in the middle. They're like $1 for a bunch of them. And of course, burrito size tortillas, soft tortillas for $2 or $3. And I can make like 10 crunch wraps, whereas this kit only gives you enough for, I think, 4. I understand you guys are trying to make things convenient, but it's not really that convenient. You're literally just paying more money for everything to just be in a box together instead of just buying the pieces separately. I don't know. That's my random thought of the day. Nothing related to knitting or important. I just thought it was kind of funny. And I just wanted to share it because I'm random like that sometimes. But anyways, after I just finished dinner, I'm going to get back now to knitting my triangular color block modular section here, and we'll see what we look like in a couple hours or maybe tomorrow. All right, I'll check in with you guys soon. All right, guys, it is time for an update for Clue 3. It is Sunday, October 19th. I did not really do any filming yesterday since I was pretty much just hanging out at home with my boyfriend, playing video games with some of our friends. And I did do some knitting in between while we were playing games, but it's been really difficult to try to record my progress because this section of Clue 3, it's finicky. Like I mentioned in my previous talking point, that I have to do a lot of this. So I basically have to knit 12 or 13 stitches, and then I have to flip it, and then I have to do it again, and then again, and I have to also attach a new color of yarn every time I finish one of the modular strip colors, and I have to weave in my ends as I go. So yeah, it's just not feasible to try to record while I am doing all those things. But nonetheless, this is my progress. I am enjoying it, oddly, even though I am flipping a lot. It's just, I actually don't even need the pattern hardly anymore. I do look at it just to make sure my stitch count is staying on point and I'm not missing certain colors that I got to start with each time. And yeah, for the most part, I have been enjoying the mindless knitting. I think that's the part that I really look forward to, is like being able to do it without having to reference the pattern every couple seconds or every couple minutes. I don't really need the video anymore either, until I get to the second part of Clue 3. This is what she's looking like. I will say that she's not, I don't know if she's still giving the yeah, she's giving Neapolitan ice cream still. I think someone commented on my last video that ice cream is yummy, and yes, the ice cream is yummy, and I am not hating on the fact that it looks like Neapolitan ice cream. It was supposed to be chiffon guava, but I think it's just because of my color arrangements that it's kind of giving that vibe. And you know what? That's okay. I'm here for it. I'm definitely not hating on it. It'll just be a good talking point for whenever anyone asks me, did you mean for it to look like that? And I'm going to say, yes, I did. I think the part that I am glad at least I'm doing is weaving in the ends. I am doing the weave in Steven method, and I've always used that method anytime I'm doing knitting, just because I don't particularly like weaving in my ends at the end. Again, another tedious task that you have to do when you're knitting. So I am glad that I am weaving in my ends as I go. I am doing the weave in Steven technique, so that way I don't have to worry about all these pesky tails from all the color changing that I'm doing. I unfortunately am unable to do the method for certain tails. When I do the triangular corners, the tail ends up on the left versus the right, where I start to knit and then knit left. So I can't grasp the tail while I'm knitting, unfortunately. So I am going to have to go back and get those woven in by hand. But that's okay. I can't always do the weave and Steven every single time like I'd like. But I was able to do it for, I would say, like 98% of it. 99. It's pretty good. And I cut them short as I went. Like, I went ahead and wove them in, knitted a couple of rows, just because as you knit, it kind of tightens up the fabric a little bit, and it causes the tail to kind of shrink, I guess you could say. And I didn't want to cut them too short and then they fall out, and then we'll have a mess, because then I'll have a tail way too short to even try to weave in. So I waited till I got done with the majority of the section and then cut some of the tails that I already wove in. So that way they wouldn't also be in the way as I'm flipping, because when you're flipping it back and forth, your tails kind of wave all over the place. I do want to be fair in my opinions about the clues, because I don't want to sound like a negative Nancy as I'm sharing my thoughts, but I also am entitled to my thoughts at the same time. So I am trying to be mindful for how I'm feeling about it and give it a fair chance, because at first glance, first impression, I was not too thrilled about this clue. As you know, I was a little bit skeptical of the whole flipping back and forth. It was giving me scallop vibes from last year. Yeah, from last year when we had to do this section. And I thought it was a pretty quick thing, but then as I got into it, I was like, oh my God, this is taking forever. But I think the difference is that this section on the shawl was for the full length of the shawl, which was already pretty large. So that was my first thoughts about that section. And then the very corner of Clue 3 on this year's shawl really intrigued me with like how it looks. It really does look like notes on a music sheet. It's very, I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he captured that in a visual representation. I definitely really like it. I'm a very musical person. I do love to sing. I used to play piano many, many years ago. I don't really play much piano anymore, but I do see the visual that he was capturing. Good morning, everyone. So it is now Monday, October 20th, and I am providing you a little update on Clue 3. This is where we're at so far. It doesn't seem like much, but this is a lot of work, especially since it's a lot of flipping back and forth. If some of you are knitting the MKAL this year, then you'll understand completely with what I mean. So my thoughts about the Clue so far is I have changed my mind a little bit about it. When I initially reacted to the Clue, I wasn't quite sure how I was going to feel about it. I didn't have very good feelings about it first because it already looked like an aggravation. I'm just going to be straight up. I was like, well, that's going to be interesting because I'm going to have to flip a lot. So this is kind of giving me those vibes with the flipping back and forth because you're basically knitting like 12 or 13 stitches. I would say 15 stitches max, and then flipping it, and then doing the same on the other side, and flipping it, then flipping it. Then it's just a lot of flipping, and trying to film doing that while flipping and doing all that just is too much. I would never get done. I would never have gotten this much done if all I did was just try to worry about filming while doing this. So I did do the weave and Steven method as I went. I know it didn't look like it on the edge, but that's because of the position the tail ended up. I can't do the method. But for all the other parts and for all the other colors, I definitely did them. So I'm just going to hand weave those pieces in. That's fine. That's way less work than doing it for all these colors because it's like 2 per color. No, we're going to do the weave and Steven. And I went ahead and cut them short as I went just because I didn't want them like flopping all over the place while I was flipping the work back and forth because it's already chaotic enough flipping it back and forth. I don't need tails flying all over the place at the same time. I'm trying to put a little comedic twist on it because it really ain't that bad. I actually kind of like it. It's a little mind numbing after you've learned the method of maybe after the first 2 strips and you get the gist of the flow. You don't really need the pattern or the videos much anymore. I mean, I do keep the pattern open just to check my stitches to make sure that I'm putting the right count because again, I'm not redoing this stuff. This is a one and done. We're not going back and redoing things. I've already had to frog a couple of the squares because I was off my count a couple of times on the garter ridges. So that's not ideal. But nonetheless, I am actually enjoying the process so far. I do think that it's amazing how he has captured the visual look of what music sounds like. If you get what I mean, like he's really done something here where it really represents what music would look like. Oh, sorry about my camera, guys. I have a new gimbal tripod and it's got tracking on it, so it moves anytime that the center object moves, and I think it thought that this was the center object. I don't know if this helps. Maybe I don't know. Please don't move. Okay. So yeah, this is basically. I think as long as my head's there, it'll find me. I think whenever my head disappears, it's like, whoa, where are you? It's like a kid. Um, anyway, so this is kind of the whole look so far. I am curious with Clue 4 where he's going to go next. I have a feeling we're doing something with the live stitches that we've put on waist yarn or barber cord down here. I can't imagine that next week he's going to be like, all right, guys, so you're just going to do an I-cord edge on that and wrap it up and maybe add something to the top. I'm going to be very upset because why didn't you just tell us to do an I-cord edge as we were knitting last week? So yeah, I don't think that's what he's going to do. He is more clever than that. So I do feel like we're about to add something here because I think this is the orientation of the shawl. Like I think this is the way it's supposed to be when it drapes on your shoulders. And he said that this is going to be as big as last year's. This is getting there, but it's not quite as big yet. So there's going to be some stuff he's about to add. I'm confident we are not done with just 1 or 2 tiny little things next week or this week technically. Oh my god, Clue 4 is 2.5 days away, and I gotta make some progress on the Clue 3 because I've done a really great job so far at staying on task and finishing on time. I have finished Clue 1 and 2 literally the day before the next Clue comes out. Granted, I don't put these vlogs out till that Saturday, but that's because I gotta edit, of course, so I can't always get the stuff out literally the day the next Clue comes out. I would love to, I have to work a normal job and, do other adult things before I do all that. So if this was my main job and I only did vlogging or YouTube, maybe. But anyways, without all that rambling, I am going to get back to knitting and I'm going to try to film a couple shots of me knitting because I know I haven't really been doing that. And I'll give you guys a new update shortly. All right, everyone, it is that time for another update on Clue 3. It is Tuesday, October 21st, and I worked all day on the knitting of Clue 3, and I still didn't finish the strips. I tried my best to finish yesterday, and I did knit all day yesterday, even into last night before I had to go to bed. In the beginning, it was pretty quick because you start with your orange triangle here, then you add on 2, then 3, then 4, and as you go through each strip, you add on a new diamond at the top. So I'm at the point where I'm like adding on like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I got to add like a ninth one basically because there's 8 on the strip. So this one's going to have 9. So I basically have to add on 9 diamonds to this last strip because there's 8 on this one, then 7, 6, and you get what I mean. So it's taking me a little longer towards the end than I anticipated, which is usually my problem. But I'm, making progress. I'm trying to work on it as fast as I can. However, I don't think I'm going to finish Clue 3 by Clue 4 when it comes out on Thursday. I do plan to finish the strips tonight, despite needing to get a couple things done. Like I got to make macaron cookies for this weekend when I go to town with my parents, and I got to get some groceries. We got to do dinner. So I don't anticipate it taking me till tomorrow to finish this last strip. However, the part that will take me some time is the second half of Clue 3. That is going to require some new techniques I've never done before. It doesn't seem difficult looking. So once I get a row or 2 down watching the video and then getting the flow down, it should be pretty easy to do it by memory. It's going to take me a while to like learn it first. So I just don't expect I'm going to get this done by Clue 4. So in order to motivate myself to make sure I finish this clue before I start Clue 4, is I'm not going to look at Clue 4 until Clue 3 is done, even if that takes till next week, because I know myself. I already have a project or 2 lined up that I'd like to get started, but I am holding off doing so because I'm trying to be good about finishing what I start, and at least finishing what I start all at once, not start here, then put it down for several months and then finish it later. No, I want to finish what I started within the clues as much as possible. And I know that when I see Clue 4, and if it's something I don't like, then I'm going to be like, I don't really see the point in finishing that. I think I'll put it down and do it later. But if it's something I do like, maybe I'll end up saying I'll do it, but I'll like put it down anyways and I'll come back to it later. I just know myself. So I want to finish Clue 3. I'm going to hold off looking at Instagram to make sure that I don't accidentally see Clue 4. I want to be surprised on my own. So I'm not going to finish this by Thursday. I still have one more day, and I don't know how much progress I'm going to make by Thursday to even say how close I'll be to done. And I've got work to do. So I will get with you guys on my next update before I wrap up this vlog. All right, guys, it is now Wednesday, October 22nd, and we are finally not done. Yeah, I did not finish last night. I swear I had all intentions to, and I actually had the time, but the little obstacle I ran into was I put the wrong color in the wrong order. I started the last column, and I don't even remember what color I did incorrectly where, because I was so frustrated that I just left the project. I was done. Because not only was the color placement wrong, I tried to frog it manually, not go stitch by stitch backwards, but like frog it, because I had to go back like 3 diamonds. I was not about to go back stitch by stitch to do that. If there was a couple rows or just 1 diamond, I'd understand, but not 3. That was going to take me longer than just pulling it all out almost. So I tried to pull it out to the point I needed to do the correct color change, and somehow I missed one of the stitches where it connects to the previous column and didn't realize, and somehow it undid the attachment stitch only for the column connection. All the rest were intact, but this part started to come undone, and I was just over it at that point. I just literally just took it all out, frogged it all out, used whatever yarn I could keep. Like, I just wound it up in little balls just because I'm not going to get rid of it. It's still usable yarn. So yeah, I basically had to start over, and I am 2.5 in out of 9. It's just great. It's just great. I love it. I'm not really that mad anymore, just because this is part of what the MKAL is. It's a challenge. You know, nothing's going to ever go perfectly when you're knitting these things. And I've never done this technique before. It's not been that difficult. It's just there's nothing to predict, to know what I should or shouldn't be doing before I get started. I kind of have to figure it out as I go. But I looked at the Clue 3 ending part, like the second part of it, and reminded myself that it wasn't as large for the ending of the clue as I thought it was going to be. I thought it was almost like the same size as this whole corner, but it really is not. So I think it might go by even quicker than I expect. Not quick enough that I'm going to be done by Clue 4. Obviously not, because today's the last day before Clue 4 is launched, and I promised I'm not going to look at Clue 4 until I'm done with Clue 3. I would like to still work on this to finish tonight. I'm not going to make any promises, because I did that yesterday and I failed. That's just simply the fact that this is what I've gotten done so far on the column 9, and I'm just going to have to work diligently on this until I can get the column 9 done, and I can start watching and learning the next section of Clue 3. And yeah, I will see you guys shortly, hopefully. All right, guys, we are in for another update, and we're still not done. No, I really wish we were. I'm getting close. I have made some more progress, so we're still not, working on the modular blocks or anything. We are now in the last part of the Clue 3, which is the little corner or tip of the Clue 3, which is like the little note looking stitches. I am on the 3rd color, because like orange is color C, which is the dominant color, and then I have color A, B, and C as the 3 like individual colors on each row. So it went by pretty quick, because to be honest, I'm really knitting only this part. The rest of this I'm keeping on hold. Like, this is not even being knitted currently. It is just waiting for when I get done with Clue 3, which is this part. So the other benefit is I'm decreasing as I go from here. I'm doing German short rows. So it gets smaller and smaller, which means it goes quicker and quicker as I knit, which is a benefit. Actually, I take that back. I started here at the beginning of this corner, and I'm now down to here. Let me see if I can do this without dropping all my stitches. So like, this is how much progress I've made from here to here with decreasing. And now this is really where I'm at with what I'm working on. It's not that many rows to get to the tip of the corner where the Clue 3 stops. So we are on the last leg of the race here. And I have kept my promise to myself, and I guess to you guys, as I mentioned, that I have not looked at Clue 4. And I will be honest, I am itching to look at it. It has taken every fiber of my being to not just open up the spoiler alert PDF and look at it. I just want to see what it looks like, but I know myself. I know that what's going to happen is, like I said, I'm just going to get demotivated if it's something I don't think looks really good and it's not inspiring, and it's going to make me not finish the shawl, even though I'm going to, but I want to enjoy it. And Clue 3 was a little bit rocky with me liking it or not at first, but I turned out to like it. I'm just hoping that Clue 4 I'll definitely still like. It won't be like, oh, what is this? I don't like this. Da, da, da. I think some of us go through those emotions. But I have really held off not looking. And to even further dedicate myself to not looking at it, I haven't been on my knitting Instagram account either, because I know as soon as I get on that account, I'm already going to see it. So I don't want to risk it. I'd rather just not try to be tempted. So I've been just hanging out on my personal Instagram account until I can get Clue 3 done. I will be going out of town today after work to go to my parents' house for the weekend. And I always bring knitting or crocheting with me. So I'm not worried about having no time to knit or crochet. I won't really have time to knit tomorrow during the day because I will be with my family for a birthday party. I can knit tonight whenever we're, my boyfriend and I are at my parents' house, get ready for bed, and then I can knit either in the morning or tomorrow evening. There's ways, there's options. I'm not worried about it. So I am trying to anticipate maybe finishing this by Sunday. I know that seems like a long time, especially since Clue 4 came out yesterday. It's like really nice that I can try to meet these challenges and be on time, but I also have to be realistic as well with my other parts of my time and my adulthood and responsibilities. So I have been pretty proud of myself for having kept up the first 2 clues, even with being out of town and not knitting whatsoever. And then this clue kind of just gave me a little bit of a hurdle with the original modular diamond blocks because of me having to start over multiple times. And now I'm doing a part of Clue 3 that I actually like even more. So I'm definitely not mad at it. After Clue 4, it's pretty much a free-for-all for when you feel like it's time to be done with the MKAL. So I don't feel as much pressure anymore. I just feel the pressure with wanting to know what it looks like. So anyway, so that's pretty much all the update I have today. I don't think I'm going to be doing any vlogging over the weekend with my family because I prefer to keep personal life things like with other people's faces and business out of my vlogs. I kind of thought at first when I started the Clue 3 vlog, I wasn't going to have enough content for the video. I was thinking, man, this is going to be a really short one because I was so focused on the modular diamonds and not having filmed a lot of me knitting it that I was like, yeah, I'm not going to have a whole long video for this. But now coming into Friday and having done a lot of check-ins and doing a few little B-roll or montage shots, I feel safe to say that this video might be a bit longer than I thought. I do try to find the right balance between it all, but this clue had a lot of feelings and a lot of thoughts around it that I couldn't just keep it to a 5 or 10 minute discussion. Like there was like a process going on for me throughout the whole thing. And I just wanted you to be there along for the journey as well. Anyways, guys, I will check in with you for the last time in a couple seconds for you and a couple days for me. All right, everyone, this moment has finally arrived. Clue 3 is finally done. Whew, Clue 3 was a doozy. And I will say that it felt like forever, mainly because as the shawl gets bigger, there's more stitches and it's a lot more to knit. It's not like it is at the beginning. So that's already a challenge in itself, is that it's just getting bigger. Second part is that it seems like from last year and this year, he puts a lot of work in Clue 3. Like that almost seems like the last leg in the race to just like really push hard to get to the finish line. Only because there's only 4 clues and he kind of started off small with the scallop section. And then this was a huge chunk of the shawl with the squiggles, but obviously that's not the whole rest of the shawl. Even though Clue 1 starts out small with the scallops, and then Clue 2 was the squiggles. While the squiggles section seems like it's a lot of the shawl, it's not. Because if you think about it, the first half of the shawl is split up into 2 clues. So then if Clue 3 and Clue 4 are, completely separate parts of the shawl, he's got to make up for an extra clue basically somewhere. So he put basically 2 clues in one for Clue 3. This is pretty much the whole half of the other part of the shawl. And then Clue 4, which we aren't ready to discuss at this moment because we're not there yet, is somewhere on the shawl. I'm assuming here because this is where we left our needles. I don't know if he's going to pick up somewhere else as well, since last year for the MKAL Go Go Dynamo, he had us do 2 parts of the shawl. So the very bottom, which was an optional border with the wavy border, and then the top part with the mosaic section. So I don't know, maybe he'll do it in 2 different places. He'll have it pick up where these needles are being left, because he did not say to put this on waste yarn. He just said to leave them on the needles and to break the yarn. So I have a feeling this is going to be where we're going to be finishing up things. But then he might do something at the top part of the shawl. Who knows? We'll just have to see when we look at Clue 4. So I just wanted to wrap up the video with my final finished Clue 3 and my thoughts about it. I don't dislike it at all. I know I said at the beginning, I was like, not really that crazy about the way it looks. I thought it was pretty basic, but it definitely had its challenges, and I like the look of it. This section is really cool. I like the texture of it. It's very squishy because of the raised textures, and the backside looks very nice. It looks really cool. I spent a long time weaving in ends last night. I'm just glad that I've been keeping it tidy. I have no tails. All tails have been woven in, whether I did them on the way or I did them manually. Either way, I took care of the issue as I finished each clue because I wanted to have a clean slate before I did the next clue. That's pretty much going to wrap up this Clue 3 vlog, and I will see you guys in the Clue 4 vlog.